Good evening, everyone. June 10th, James Hicks here reporting for Infotainment News. Couldn't let the day go by without at least talking a bit about iOS 7, some of the announcements that were made at the Apple WWDC conference. So I decided instead of doing a talking head presentation, I'd go ahead and do an audio cast. Everyone on the planet, multiple sites, Mashable, TechCrunch, The Verge, everyone else that's in the business, Macgasm as well, has already gone and put together their list of great features and great enhancements that have come out that were announced with iOS 7 today. We also did our own, so we did Apple unveils a redesigned iOS 7 and posted that on Infotainment News earlier today. But still wanted to go through and kind of talk through some of the primary redesigns, some of the primary features and functionality, and also really talk about it from the consumer's perspective, right? Not necessarily just from breaking the news and talking about, hey, we've got iOS 7 coming out in the fall, but what does that really mean for those who are on the fence and trying to decide, do I go Android? Do I go get this new Samsung S4? Do I go get this HTC One? Do I hold on to the iPhone that I've got and upgrade it to the next version? Or even if I've got an old iPhone, will it work with this new version of iOS 7? So just real briefly wanted to go over some of those things in particular. I actually have been running iOS 7 for a couple of hours now, and can say one thing for sure about the interface. It's extremely colorful. The conversations were always that, from the rumor mill, they were always that iOS 7 was going to be more of a flat design. But honestly, when Tim Cook and all of the executives for Apple were making the presentation this morning at WWDC, the word flat was not used at all. The description that was used, however, was grid. And that really does more effectively describe what iOS 7 is. It's more of a grid-based user interface. Again, very colorful, a lot of intuitive gestures. Actually, as you move back and forth between applications, and not just the Apple applications, but I think a lot of designers and developers that are at WWDC this week are going to be able to integrate a lot more fluidly into the way that Apple has designed the operating system in and of itself to take advantage of some of the new gestures. And what I mean by that, a lot of swiping from left and right can bring about different types of functions. Swiping down from the top still brings the notification window that we're accustomed to right now. But if you swipe up from the home button on your device, you now get a new control panel on your iOS device that allows you to, in effect, control a lot of the functionality that was being used by some of the jailbreaks that were out there. So SBS settings being one in particular was the jailbreak that allowed access to different functions on your iOS device, turning it into airplane mode, turning on and off Bluetooth, turning on and off the auto rotation, and then turning on and off Wi-Fi and things of that nature. Now, built directly into the operating system, you can do that type of functionality again with just a quick swipe up from the bottom. So I sent out a tweet earlier this morning saying darn near all of the jailbreaks that I had on my iPhone are now negated with this release of iOS 7. So that's a promising thing. I really think that's fantastic from the fact that Apple gets it now and understands that users want more flexibility and more control with their device. The platform is not going to be completely open like an Android environment is, right? So we can't make custom log on and custom login information like you can with an Android device, but you can still manipulate and do things a little bit more fluidly with your iOS device now within iOS 7. So that redesigning is very nice. The notification center, everything really is just designed around being more user friendly. I think the fonts have changed, a little clearer to read, a lot bigger lettering, a lot brighter, as I was saying. From a applications perspective, that's built in with the iOS version. The camera has been updated. The camera now actually includes filters. So that's a hit at Instagram, a hit at Path, a hit at all of those applications that allow you to do different types of filters and different types of manipulations to your photos. That's huge, right? Again, it's because Apple is stepping into that world now, and then by bundling it in, that actually gives that consuming consumer that we always talk about that capability of not having to worry about going out and getting a third-party application, because now it's built in and it's bundled by default with the core operating environment. One of the key announcements that's built into iOS 7 that I actually liked a lot, and I think more of the tech-savvy type of audience that was listening appreciated as well, was something called activation lock. So, in a sense, if you lose your iPhone, you lose it, you leave it on a table somewhere, someone steals it, whatever the case may be, the perpetrator who now has your iOS device, they can wipe the device, they can try to restart it and rebuild it and all of that, but they won't be able to reactivate the device because it's tied in with the Find My iPhone application, and it cannot be reactivated. That particular device cannot be reactivated without knowing your Apple ID and password. So, those iCloud credentials are becoming more and more robust, and now with this activation lock functionality, again, if someone has the device, but again, the UDID, which is the actual number that references that particular piece of hardware, you can wipe it, you can do whatever you want, but again, if you steal it, the owner has it tied in with their iCloud integration and tied in with their Find My iPhone, there's no way, unless they know your iCloud credentials, username and password, to actually reactivate the phone. So I think that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. iCloud Keychain was another bit of functionality that was announced, and again, that's more of being able to sync passwords back and forth between multiple devices. And a lot of consumers have multiple Apple bits of hardware. You've got an iPad, you got an iPhone, you may even have a MacBook or a desktop or laptop. So being able to sync those passwords back and forth, controlled by the encryption that's built in with iCloud, is a very nice piece of functionality and a nice a way of being able to leverage one storage system for those passwords and for that critical information without having to re-enter it every time you just pick up a new device. So I think that's very good as well, to be able to sync your keychains across multiple devices. Siri got a little bit of an update. We now have multiple voices for Siri, which I think is nice. But not only did we get a male and female voice and different languages, we had English, French, and German off the bat, but Siri also got smarter. So Siri is actually tightly integrated with Microsoft's Bing search engine, which is interesting to me because I knew Apple and Google were not going to shake hands and be nice about anything, but I almost had a presumption that there'd be more of an integration between what Marissa Mayer is doing with Yahoo and maybe Yahoo and Apple doing more of an integration, but it looks like that did not happen, and Microsoft's Bing is now integrated more tightly with the Siri utility. Folders was an announcement that came out as well. Folders in iOS 7, folders in iOS 6 are very weak, and when you can only have 12 applications in a particular folder right now, and with, again, all of the photo apps, all of the video apps, all of the apps that do similar types of functionality that we download and that we use or that we want to try, or all the games, right? You've got a folder for games, and you have to now label games 1, games 2, games 3, or whatever. That's how I actually label mine. But with the release of iOS 7, you can now have folders that have more than 12 applications within them. So that just makes life so much more easier and much more manageable when you have a couple of hundred apps on your iOS device now. So that got a pretty good round of applause from the attendees at the keynote this morning as well. The radio station, or the radio functionality, was announced as well. The iRadio, or the iTunes Radio, as it's officially called, was announced this morning. So there's a stab in the ribs to the Pandoras, the Spotifys, the iHeartRadios, songs, applications, and platforms like that. Because now Apple has gone out, made those agreements with the major labels and the major recording artists. To now they're actually providing a streaming music service built again directly into the iOS platform. It's going to be free. It's going to be ad supported if it's free, but if you are a current subscriber to iTunes Match, then you will get the non-ad supported environment. So again, it's going to be interesting to see between now and the next couple of months before the general available release of iOS 7 comes out, what is going to come out of the Pandoras, the Spotifys, and again the iHeartRadios, as they now have this 800-pound gorilla Apple actually providing very similar types of services, types of functionality. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Probably the biggest complaint that I've personally had with iOS hardware is the application updates functionality, and that has been addressed as well. Android has just done this right from the beginning, right? It just you can log on to Google Play from any browser. If you've already got your Android device configured in Google Play, boom, at the website you can say download this app, and it'll automatically go to your device. You don't have to be tethered with any cables. You don't even have to have your phone or your Android device with you. You can just be at the web browser, boom, say I want to download this app, and just like that, it's on your device. Apple is getting there. It's not completely there yet, but the fact that they now have automatic updates for your applications, I think, is a step in the right direction. So Apple's implementation of this is, if you've already got the application, you've already downloaded it, it's on your iOS device, instead of getting the App Store icon to show you have 10 updates that need to happen, those updates will just happen automatically in the background. So, getting there a little bit better, but again, still not really that complete flexibility and that capability of upgrading your device from any remote location without having to, again, be tethered to iTunes or anything of that nature. Because you still, right now on the iOS platform, you still have to be at your desktop or your system that's got iTunes attached to that iOS device before you can actually install any application, things of that nature. So nitpicking, but again, that's still one of the areas where there's a con as opposed to a pro in the iOS versus the Android debate. Would be interested to hear what your thoughts are, and what if you had a chance to see some of the news reports today, or if you're at WWDC, or if you just caught some of the articles that have been printed, what your impressions are, what your thoughts are, what you're expecting to get. If you have any questions about, again, features and functionality, one thing for sure, if you've got anything older than an iPhone 4S, I would get rid of that device and go ahead and upgrade to, at minimum, the 4S, but preferably the 5, so you can have full functionality and full capabilities, from a CPU processing perspective of what's going to be happening with iOS 7. But anything older than that, go ahead and put it out there on Gazelle, or take it to Best Buy and recycle it, or sell it back to them or something of that nature, so you can have some current hardware when iOS 7 comes out this fall. Any questions, hit me up on Twitter. I'm at James Hicks, JamesHicks. Again, we decided to post the information about iOS 7 on infotainmentnews.net because this is more of a consumer-focused update, a more consumer-focused release, as opposed to something that's more deep and down in the weeds that we typically would do on the Tech Scoop. So we'll continue to post information about what's happening about OS 10, iOS 7, and all the happenings coming out of WWDC. And you can follow us online, again, at infotainmentnews.net. Thanks a lot, you guys.